Hi, welcome to today's community chat. We're speaking with Norfolk Festevents about what else is upcoming this season. They just had Bayou Bon Vivant and they've had the Town Point Wine Festival. I'm sure you're familiar with all their events, and Harborfest is next up in the lineup. So I'm going to bring Jordan Lett, the marketing director, on, and we're going to talk about what's coming up this season. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know there's a lot of excitement, especially for Harborfest coming up, and hopefully it's a beautiful summer on the water here. But do you just want to start by, even just giving us an idea of, what 2023 was like, planning for you? I think we put the events out in January, and there was so much excitement, just for what's to come already. People marking things on their calendars. So I know there's a huge interest, all over Hampton Roads, and also visitors, coming to these events.
Yeah, like you said, it's a full schedule, that we're bringing here to the downtown Norfolk waterfront. May was an incredibly awesome, and fun month, like you mentioned, with our wine festival and then the Cajun festival last week. And we're not slowing down. We're going to keep bringing events throughout the summer and fall season. You even teased it a little bit. Harborfest in its 47th year, if you can believe that. Harborfest is the largest, longest running free maritime festival in the nation. So running for 47 years now. We've got a great lineup here in just a few short weeks. That'll be June 9th through the 11th. And we've got Friday night, it will be the Allman Betts Band. Saturday, we've got Morris Day in the Time, a little bit of a throwback there. And then on Sunday, we've got Parmalee, the popular country band. Obviously the fireworks Saturday night, that's such a huge attraction at Harborfest. And we're doing some cool new stuff like a drone show Friday night. You're starting to see these drone shows pop up in big events across the world, really. And it's something cool that we brought last year and it'll be returning this year.
Absolutely. There's some B-roll playing for everyone watching, of one of the fireworks shows, at previous year's events that we captured. So, I mean, you can just get a glimpse of, how exciting it is to be out there with everyone, watching this show.
Yeah, no, that's a action-packed weekend full of high energy entertainment. There's something for everybody at Harborfest. The entire family can come out and there's something for everyone. So we encourage it.
And here is just a glimpse of, I believe this is the parade of the boats, the sail parade,
Yeah.
that will be happening. And, I guess a little bit about that. I'm curious, is that sold out? Can people still put their boats in, or are people just looking to get tickets now to watch the show?
Yeah, well, the Harbor Fest is free and open to the public. There's no cost to come and see the Parade of Sails, what you just mentioned, and what's showing right now. That's sort of the official kickoff to the festival, Friday at noon. So it'll be Friday, June 9th at noon. And all these ships come, parading into downtown on the Elizabeth River. We've got some great participating vessels this year. Gazella from Philadelphia, Godspeed from Jamestown, not too far away from here. Kalmar Nickel from Delaware, and we've got a long list of other participating vessels. Those are just what's off the top of my head. And then to participate in the Parade of Sail, if you're just like a leisure boater or and you just want to come down, yeah, like I said, it's free. There's an anchorage off of Town Point Park in the Elizabeth River where boats are able to anchor throughout the weekend and watch the different water events that are happening. So for all that information, I would just encourage people to visit our website, festevents.org, for all that info.
Absolutely. And the next one after, I guess, is the Juneteenth in the park celebration. And is that a new event for you all?
This will be our third year
Okay.
producing the Juneteenth Festival in the park. Really great event. There's lots of educational components to it, live entertainment. There's lots of good food out there. And it's really just a good community celebration. And yeah, it's our third year.
And that's great. So, that's become something that, people can look forward to. They can go to the park as well. And I mean, I'm sure people down here have been to the Norfolk waterfront, but that is a beautiful Town Point Park that you all do have your events at. And then, looking, forward to some other things. I mean, there's a lot of music on the lineup, and you mentioned some of the acts that are, going to be playing at the most upcoming. But, can you just tell us a little bit about, I mean, I guess that's what brings people out, right? Music, food, fireworks.
Drinks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, so our biggest show after, we just had our Cajun Festival last week, and we touched on that a bit. That had an amazing lineup. Like you said, the people love good entertainment, and we saw really great crowds. Harborfest is our next big music lineup. I touched on that lineup, but then our jazz festival in August, actually, it's going to be August 18th and 19th this year, is in its 40th year. It's the longest running jazz festival in our area. And I'd like to think probably the state of Virginia. I can't confirm that, but, it's definitely the longest running in our region. And that event's really grown to like national prominence. I mean, we've strategically booked entertainment for that festival to be able to draw from across the country. And so it's a great source of or boost to the tourism here in Norfolk. But yeah, no, this year's Jazz Festival lineup includes, legends like Dave Koz, Gerald Albright, Jeff Lorber, Everett Hart, Paul Jackson Jr. So really just a star-studded lineup for the Jazz Festival in August.
Absolutely. And, just talk about, I mean, it's one of those events in Norfolk that is bringing so much music and different culture, right to our city. And, there's so many different events people can go to see music, but to be able to do that, right at the waterfront is pretty special. And that's the 40th anniversary this year.
Yep, and we're celebrating 40 years of jazz along the downtown Norfolk waterfront this year. Yeah.
So between Harborfest and the Jazz Festival, 4th of July, I mean, there's a lot of long-standing events that have really been staples here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fortunate as the marketing director to be promoting these events that have such history and tradition, and they're so popular. And like you've touched on here just now, the Town Point Park is such a unique, beautiful venue. We're really fortunate here in Norfolk to be able to produce these world-class events and sort of this beautiful, unique venue that is Town Point Park. So yeah, it's what gets us going, gets us excited every day to plan these events and bring it all to life for the the residents here in Norfolk, but really the entire Hampton Roads region.
Absolutely. And I did want to say, a lot of these events too, and, there are some that are coming up in the fall that are very children's focused, but a lot of these events, are very family friendly, and it's meant to encourage, right, everyone, all ages to come out to these events.
Yeah, yeah, for the most part. We do have some very adult-centered events like our wine festivals, obviously.
Absolutely.
But other than that, yeah, no, we're very, very family friendly, and in fact, we produce the Virginia Children's Festival in October. This is one of the largest children's festivals in the country. There's everything from performances from local youth performing arts organizations, Disney characters, everything. The event is designed for ages 10 and under. But if you got an 11-year-old or 12-year-old, it'll work too. But no, it's an amazing day in Town Point Park. It's a short event, just one day, but it's action packed and really, really exciting for the kids.
And, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, just moving through sort of by date. The July 4th, festival, or I guess American Picnic and Fireworks. I mean, what is that really going to be like? And I do have to say, last year, you all had events, but it's been, a couple interesting years with, different pandemic, limits to things and so forth. So this is, quite a full year of events that we're having in 2023 that seems untouched, by some of this for people to get out and enjoy.
Yeah, last year was our first full season back since the pandemic, but you're right. There were definitely some people that were maybe a little hesitant at the beginning to jump right back in. So yeah, no, it feels good to be back full force. Back to your question about July 4th, that's really a neat day. It's really a giant picnic out in the park for the first few hours, and then as the evening gets going, we've got some patriotic music. Usually it's one of the Navy bands or one of the military bands performing that evening. And then a really, really spectacular fireworks show here in downtown Norfolk.
And,
tons of great food, picnic food, all American fare, all that good stuff. It's really like a big picnic.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that, with our military and maritime, background right there between Harborfest and July 4th, I mean, to have, local, the Navy band come playing and everything, I mean, that is very special to be a part of that with the community here and celebrating that holiday.
Absolutely, and you can feel the patriotism and pride, military pride, out there on that day. It's full force, and it's really a pleasant sight to see.
Absolutely. And let's talk about some of these other ones coming up. I mean, I'm sure we could talk for a while about each one, and I'm assuming, as it gets closer to some of these events, the full lineup and schedule and what to expect will be available on the Festevents site as well.
Yeah, yeah, no. So after the 4th of July, we jump into some other events. One of my favorites is the Norfolk Latino Music Festival. That's Saturday, July 22nd. If you're looking for some really, really good, authentic Latin food, some really good Latin music, and just really experience the Latin culture, we've got, dance instruction and demonstrations. Like I already mentioned, the food and the music, tons of different cultural activities. It's super high energy. The dancing, the food, the music, it's amazing. That's one that I always recommend to people if they've never been. That's one that you need to go to.
Absolutely.
And then the very next day, Sunday, July 23rd, we partner with the Virginia Symphony Orchestra to produce a concert in the park. So a little bit less energy than the Latin Music Festival the day before, but still a really, really nice night. Very chill, very much a symphony performance. There's food and drinks out there for that, but it's very much just bring your lawn chair out, enjoy some food, enjoy some drinks, and enjoy the symphony performance.
A little balance between maybe some higher energy on Saturday and then, appreciating the music on Sunday. And is that event on Sunday, is that free to attend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They're all free. Yep. That's free.
That's great. And then I think, Jazz Fest ends it for the summer, but just to, maybe look ahead to the fall, I mean, is Nash Fest music, I'm assuming, country music focus, a little bit of that coming there, and maybe some country food or Southern food mixed along.
Yeah. Yeah, so very similar to our Cajun festival that we produced. That's very much inspired by New Orleans and the culture of Louisiana and the Bayou. Nash Fest is our newest sort of take on that, and that it is sort of paying homage to Nashville and the country music scene that comes out of Nashville, the culture of Tennessee and Nashville specifically. If you've ever been to Nashville, the music's great, the food's great, it has this high energy, sort of contagious vibe to it. And so we're now taking that and putting it into an event. It's called Nash Fest. And we're in our third year. You'll see great, country music, blues music, a little bit of bluegrass maybe. And then, we've got food such as hot chicken sandwiches, Nashville hot chicken sandwiches and stuff like that. So it's been a great event for these past few years, and we're looking to keep growing it this year.
Absolutely. So between all the events, I mean, there really is something for everyone, whether you're looking for food or music. I mean, there's all kinds of music coming. There's all kinds of food that's going to be, right here to try right in Norfolk. So there's not really something on the lineup that doesn't suit you, I think. I think there's something for everyone between the year events.
Yeah, no, that's our goal, is to serve everybody in the entire community. That Nash Fest event is a free event, very similar to a bunch of the other events. We do some ticketed events, and we try to keep our ticketed events as low and affordable as possible. We're not the entertainment company that's trying to gouge the customer, or we're here to serve the community. And we do have to charge sometimes to be able to pay to produce these events, but yeah, for the most part, we try and do free at all these events.
Absolutely. And, just from the B-roll, if people haven't been to some of these events before, I mean, you can just see how excited the community is to come out and how many people do show up to a lot of these events. I guess that's a shot right there from Harborfest. But, there's a lot of different action, whether it's, kids playing, adults, seeing, the activities, the events, the bands. But, I know we're all looking forward to, being at some of these events this summer. And, I guess one of the last things I wanted to ask is there anything that is new this year that's particularly exciting, or things that you guys are trying to add to the lineups or anything like that?
It's hard to pinpoint any one thing that's new. We're always trying to evolve and grow the events. And, I touched on the Jazz Festival. This year, like I mentioned, the Jazz Festival's in its 40th year. So we'll be doing some new things around downtown. You'll see some sort of fringe activities happening at some of the other downtown venues that are going to be sort of affiliate events to that event. So definitely keep that on your radar. The drone show at Harborfest is in its second year. Again, it was last year was the first year, so it's not necessarily new, but we are actually going to be doubling the amount of drones that were in the show last year. So again, just a lot of growing and evolving and taking things to the next level.
Yeah, and that's great, with new technology, sort of implementing that, into the events that are happening.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the last question I have for Harborfest, since that's the one that's coming up next, is, how early do people need to, plan to get there to see the parade, right along the waterfront? How early do people come and get their spots, right there at Town Point Park?
Yeah, so it's a long weekend, and again, like we mentioned, there's something for everybody. So different times of the day appeal to different people and their interests. So it depends. The parade, like I said, does kick off the festival. That is a really popular time to be out there. So that starts at noon. We'll see people walking around 10:30, 11 o'clock, starting to claim their seat. Really, it's the fireworks and the drone show, the Friday night and Saturday night, that it gets really crowded down here, and you'll see some traffic congestion getting into downtown. So we always encourage, specifically Friday night, to come early to avoid all that, and then expect some delays leaving. It's just sort of tough downtown getting in and out. So it's just always best to get there early and enjoy it and check everything out and take your time. Don't be in a rush.
And I have to ask, they might be like children, you can't pick a favorite, but is there one? I know you said you were excited for the Latino Festival, but is that the one that you'd say, that's one you're looking forward to each year?
Yeah, I love the Cajun Festival. That this past weekend was, awesome. I love the music and the food. And then, Harborfest for me is just, like 72 hours of go, 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 go. So it's hard to really sit back and enjoy it. The Latin Music Festival is, like I said, the energy is contagious, and you just can't help but to move and, want to dance and grab a drink and grab some food. So no, I would say yes, the Latin Music Festival is what I'm looking forward to most right now.
Well, that's great. I know everyone's excited for the lineups, and this will be posted on WAVY.com for people to go back and reference, some of the information we talked about. They can head to your website and find out, what things they want to put on their, summer lineup. So thank you so much for speaking with us today. And is there anything else that we missed or anything else to add, I guess, before we sign off?
No, thank you for having me. And, we are excited to be producing all of this for everybody. And we look forward to seeing everybody out in Town Point Park.
Great. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks. Bye.